Tonight on CTV, after an unorthodox election last season, next year's ASCSU administration has officially been voted on.
Then see the little-known way that students can take a load off.
And finally, see how the CSU rodeo team continues a legacy and meet someone who remembers all that history and much more.
That's here on CTV, starting now.
Good evening, Rams. I'm Weston Hubbard.
And I'm Madison Brummagem, filling in for Natalie Devereaux. Thank you for joining us tonight.
After a quick 4-week election cycle, the new 2022 to 2023 ASCSU administration was voted on yesterday. Robert Long and Elijah Sandoval won the president and vice president positions for Associated Students of Colorado State University, with Nicholas DeSalvo winning the Speaker of the Senate position. Candidates Long and Sandoval were the only names listed under the president and vice president when voting on Ram Webb. These candidates ran unopposed for the majority of the campaign period, but their positions became contested by Sam Mokia and Hayden Dezian less than a week before the election announcements. If students want to vote for write-in candidates, Mokia and Dezian, they had to select the other option and type in the names themselves. Only 6.17% of the student body voted in the election, falling under the needed 10% of student population required. Elections manager Gemma Bohokin explains the implications for this for ACSU.
It does unfortunately mean that our ASCSU Constitution was not ratified. So any changes made this year in the form of a lex passed by our Senate was not adopted. The organization will continue to operate under the 2020-2021 Constitution until a new Constitution is ratified.
Last year, voter turnout was about 13.73% of the student population, and during the September 2020 election, it was about 15%. Long said the first thing he will start to do is connect with past presidents to gain their knowledge. And Sandoval told students to, quote, get ready for a new chapter. Future Speaker of the Senate, Nicholas DeSalvo, echoed the message and summarized the mission of all 2022 to 2023 elects.
I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and get to work for the students of Colorado State University. Thank you.
The new ASCSU leaders will officially be sworn in on June 1st.
A teenage boy was charged as an adult following the fatal stabbing of a man. Todd Stout, a 58-year-old man, was found stabbed to death underneath a bridge off of Harmony Road and Mason Street in July of 2021. Police were able to gather a plethora of evidence to incriminate Benjamin Zohalen as the perpetrator. Evidence linking back to Zohalen was found at the crime scene, including DNA, security camera footage, and a GPS signal of him in his family's car, which he supposedly had at the time. The boy's defense attorneys argued that he suffers from severe mental health problems and needs youth services to help deal with them. Despite this, Judge Villasenor ruled that he would continue to be charged as an adult with a first-degree murder charge against him.
Larimer County deputies have begun wearing body cams while working inside jails, having started as early as Monday of this week. The initiative for this comes from a decision in Larimer County to keep a tighter eye on instances concerning their law enforcement. Instances where the camera must be turned on include if an inmate is believed to be involved in a situation with law enforcement, when there is an immediate threat to the security of the jailhouse, during any interactions that become hostile after they begin, and any other situation the officer deems it needs to be turned on. The process will cost the county $6.7 million over the course of the next 8 years. Hopefully, with extra surveillance, all parties involved can be kept as safe as possible.
One of the main drive-through COVID testing sites in Fort Collins is set to close on April 14th. The site, located in a church parking lot at 2908 South Timberline Road, is one of the 40 testing locations closing its doors across the state. The need for these testing sites is down as COVID-19 cases are dropping across Colorado. Last week, less than 2,500 tests were administered, with fewer than 400 daily COVID cases and fewer than 100 people hospitalized. While Colorado will still be distributing 26,000 tests daily through its 80 remaining testing locations, it will be moving the majority of testing to a more traditional healthcare setting. For those looking for a COVID testing site, the Foundation's Church in Loveland and the Estes Park Event Complex will remain open.
Have you ever found yourself out and about and suddenly you just feel not the best? Or you just need a moment to yourself? Well, Colorado State University has a nice little feature you may not know about to help you with those types of situations. sometimes everything around you can just seem so loud, and you just need to go somewhere to quiet things down. And luckily for students of Colorado State University, there are resources that you may not be aware of. These rooms are located in the LSC, and they're perfect when you just need that time to go ahead and think to yourself. And it's as easy as getting your student ID, pressing it on the scanner, and then you're in. Simple as that. Despite being a resource that all students can access, not a lot seem to know about it. This room can be used for things such as prayer, meditation, or even just taking those extra few seconds to think about your day so that way it's not all just floating in your head. If you use the rooms in the LSC for prayer and are worried about it being too informal, you might also want to stop by the Asian Pacific American Cultural Center along the way. They have prayer rugs available for students who need them in order to accommodate and make them feel safe in the space. There are also lockers located right across the hallway for students to put their items in while they're in the room. The LSC isn't the only place on campus that these rooms are located at. Morgan Library also has one of these rooms located on the second floor. The Natural Resources Building has one that you can book by appointment, and the Health Center currently has one not being used, but expecting to open up relatively soon. So next time you're on campus and the crowds become too much, or the workload is just weighing down on your shoulders, don't forget you have these wonderful rooms you can go to just sit and think for a while. I don't know about anyone else, but I think I'm going to need to use those things a few times a day this next month. Honestly, I did not know they existed until I got told by Michelle, actually, on our team to go check them out. And I was like, yeah, sure. And then I was like, I'm in love with them.
Yeah, well, I think especially being someone who commutes, that will give me a place that I can go and, just rest my mind and be able to relax for a little bit.
I think all of us just need to rest our minds at this point.
Well, Rams, don't go anywhere just yet.
After this break, Michelle Ellis will tell us if this blustery weather will continue into the weekend.
Welcome back from the break.
Colorado State University President Joyce McConnell announced 2 new interim leaders earlier this week. Angie Nielsen, the current director for the Office of Budgets, and Dave Ryan, the executive director of Business and Financial Services, will fill the roles. The 2 roles will be in a joint interim leadership for the Division of University Operations until a new CFO and vice president can be found. The current CFO, Lynn Johnson, will hold down the position till Nielsen and Ryan can take over, which is going to be on May 6. Johnson is moving on from the job, but will continue to work with and teach Nielsen and Ryan until she officially leaves. In the wake of this, however, CSU has been conducting a nationwide search for someone to fill the vacant spots. The university is expecting to have a new leader fill the role by summer, just in time for the upcoming academic year.
The CSU Society of Women Engineers is hosting Introduce a Girl to Engineering Day on April 9th. This day-long event is for middle school girls to help grow their passion for STEM and to connect with engineers and scientists. Students will be guided through interactive activities led by a female engineer mentor who can offer advice and show the young girls what the engineering department at CSU has to offer. For chaperones, there is a parent panel made up of professional engineers and alumni that offer a tour of CSU's lab as well as workshops to help parents learn how to build confidence in their children. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, women make up only 27% of STEM workers overall, and only 15% of those jobs are in engineering occupations. Getting girls interested in STEM majors early on might just be the key to increasing the number of women in these fields.
After more than 50 years in Fort Collins, Mexican restaurant Pobre Pancho's closed last Thursday. Asher Hahn, a longtime customer of the restaurant, bought Pobre Pancho's 2 years ago from the founders, Frank and Mary Perez. He says that because the restaurant has faced financial and COVID-19 related difficulties, he plans to sell the location to Cane's Chicken. The Perez daughter, Monica Bird, is upset with Hahn's choice to sell her parents' restaurant. Bird said she's thankful for support from the community and has launched a GoFundMe to help the staff of Pobre Pancho's financially as they look for new jobs.
The owners of the Fort Collins Ben & Jerry's are retiring from their shop after nearly 26 years. The owner, Leanne Ann Swanson, passed the old scoop shop down to Jesse Norris and Jessica Dismang last Thursday. Norris is a local, graduating from Poudre Valley High School and is a CSU alum. After nearly 3 decades at the Ben & Jerry's, the Swansons are looking forward to retiring. They have plans to travel, volunteer, and play pickleball in their future. I hope they go out for a celebratory scoop of ice cream to jumpstart a great retirement.
Ice cream is sweet and all, but you know what else is sweet? FOCO MX is finally coming back to Fort Collins, returning on April 22nd and 23rd. Over 300 bands from across the state will be gracing stages in Fort Collins breweries, bars, and concert halls on that weekend. Advanced wristbands are on sale now and can be purchased online until the day of the event. This year's edition of FOCO MX will feature a silent disco in Old Town, an increased number of outdoor stages, and special deals at breweries and the Fort Collins Museum of Discovery. To get tickets to this event, you can go to focomx.focoma.org/tickets.
Thank you so much. This week, I was able to talk with CSU's oldest alumni. Dr. John Matsushima, who is 101 years old, gave us an inside look as to how CSU used to look.
Professor Emeritus John Matsushima is CSU's oldest alumni, as well as a legendary scientist in beef cattle nutrition. His innovative work has influenced the world's food systems and earned him the honor of the 2021 Founders Day Medal. With the Great Depression in full swing when Matsushima was in high school, his college start was anything but easy.
That was during Depression, and so my parents thought, well, since Mr. Mumford told me I should go to college, and he suggested I go to CSU. But since it was Depression time, I didn't have money, or my folks didn't have money, but lo and behold, I got 2 scholarships, so that gave me the chance to come to Colorado A&M.
After earning both his bachelor's and master's degrees in animal husbandry, Matsushima began conducting his research at Rigdon Farms. One of his findings includes a better way to process corn for cattle feeding.
One of the things that is now used worldwide is the processing of corn. You use steam and pressure, and we now call that steam flake corn. And that has decreased the cost of beef 10%. So that has an impact on the world. But I'd like to see this one formula advertised and promoted. And that is this: water plus food equals life.
While Matsushima's impact reaches far beyond the city of Fort Collins, he still has a strong connection with CSU.
I've traveled the world and visited over 16 different countries. And you know, CSU is world renowned. You go to any country and they know about Colorado State University.
It was such an honor to talk with Dr. Matsushima. Hearing about how much both Fort Collins and CSU has changed over the course of time was so eye-opening.
No, 100%. It's got to be so crazy to see so much history in that amount of time. Like, It's just mind-boggling to me.
I think it's absolutely amazing, and hopefully one of us could be the oldest CSU alumni one day in the future.
I'm going to go for that title. However, you know what else is cool? He's probably seen a lot of events in his life, and one of those is probably a couple rodeos. And you know who's here to talk about rodeos? Our own Gavin Wolf. Gavin?
This weekend, I had the opportunity to watch history and tradition get carried out by the CSU.
The 71st annual Skyline Stampede returned to CSU last weekend, with packed stands and student athletes ready to compete.
This is actually the oldest college rodeo in the country. The CSU Rodeo Club started in 1950 and kind of were the first ones to take the reins on having competitive rodeo in college to allow students to get an education as well as continue to compete in rodeo.
Regardless of skill level, this rodeo offers students more than just the chance to ride horses.
We have kids that have rodeoed, we have kids that have never rodeoed, never been around it, just thought it looked cool. And we get the opportunity to let them, not just watch a rodeo or buy a ticket, but actually be involved in it.
It was kind of stressful at times, but it was also really fun to be able to be behind the scenes because most of the time we only get to do the competing side of it and everything, so being behind the scenes and like on the production side was really cool.
This event gave current students a chance to meet with the people who helped bring the program to where it is today.
We had a big alumni banquet and everything, so there were people that were like from the 1950s, the 1960s that came, and there were like all these people that knew each other and they were all sitting together and everything, so I was like, oh my god, like I want that to be me in the future.
For more than 70 years, the club has been building a community for current and past members to grow and learn through rodeo.
I couldn't think of anything cooler that I could be a part of with this, and just how much it's made me grow as an individual and my family.
I got a first-hand experience of how hard these athletes work, and it's so cool to see CSU's historic rodeo back in action.
It's crazy to me that they can stay on those bulls for so long. Like, it scares me. I'm pretty sure I'd just get hit in the head and I'm out.
Oh, I would probably have the record for the shortest time being on the bull. So
same.
Yeah.
But now it's time to move on.
And with that, that's all the news we have for you tonight.